Hey everybody, this is Brandon and Phil from Zaid Comics, the creators of the upcoming graphic novel called Magic Cop that we're launching in August on Indiegogo, and the two best looking brothers in all of comics. And today we're going to review the movie Shazam, but first I want to show off this awesome cover to the pilot issue of Magic Cop Karaoke Express. Brandon did the art for this, and Eugene did the colors. Thought it came together really cool, and you could read this comic next week if you sign up for our mailing list at zaidcomics.com. You can find the link down below. It's 12 pages, and it's a little proof of concept comic to get some feedback on what we're doing for our campaign in August. Yeah, so that's gonna be awesome. So Shazam, what did you think?
I liked it. I know that like you have a lot of the history from Shazam and reading the comic books and stuff. Not so much for me. I think my first experience with Captain Marvel, as he used to be called, maybe it was MK versus DC.
Yeah,
probably MK versus DC, and he was super cool in there. I remember Captain Marvel in there. And that's every time we were talking about the movie Shazam, leading up to the movie coming out, that's what I would think. It's Captain Marvel. And then I remember that there was a Captain Marvel movie coming out, and I was like,
yeah.
Sad sack
Same
from
month.
development. Yeah, it was weird. But I really enjoyed the movie.
I think that's the consensus.
Yeah, it's
Everyone
got great reviews all around.
Almost 100. I don't know about now, but it was almost 100% viewer rating, and critic rating was pretty up there too. But it didn't make as much as people wanted it to make.
I think
money-wise.
I think that was because they took a risk with their advertising campaign. I know I was talking to somebody who's a superhero fan and a comic book fan, but they had never heard of Shazam, and they're like, "Oh, are you gonna go see Captain Marvel, the Marvel movie?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go see the real Captain Marvel." So we started talking about that, and then they were like, "Oh, it looks like a kids movie." And I'm like, well, you don't understand. And then so I explained to them. But then, having seen the movie, versus the trailers and all that, there's so much more in the movie that could have been put in the trailers to really bring the audience in. And somebody who knew a little bit of what they were going to get into going into the movie, I'm personally glad that they didn't put that stuff in the trailers, because there's some really good stuff at the end that we'll talk about because the movie's been out for a while. But I know you really enjoyed it.
They didn't tease anything in the trailers, and I think it hurt them a little bit where they made it seem like a super kids movie. I know John Malin's gripe with it. He's not going to go see it because it seems too childish, and he was saying that Shazam doesn't seem like the same character as Billy Batson in the movie. Like Shazam seems very enthusiastic about things, but you could also twist it where Billy is very closed off and self-conscious and doesn't want to be friends with anybody, but then when he turns into Shazam, he's showing his true personality.
Or you could be like, hey, I just got a giant boost of confidence because I'm jacked out of my mind, I'm 6 foot whatever, I'm super good looking, and I have all these superpowers.
Right.
It happens.
Yeah.
So look, I get somebody like John Malin not take external information in and be like, what, maybe this is a good movie. Let's see this movie.
Yeah, he thinks it's soy, but it's not. It's awesome. I went to see it with a friend, and they didn't. They're like, this was not in the trailer. They're big, the villains, monsters, the 7 deadly sins. They're like, how is this a kids movie or rated? Seemingly PG, but it was PG-13 because the monsters rip people's heads off camera. You don't see any blood or anything, but they're pretty scary. And I think that was they're cool.
Bad in a really cool sense. They are very terrorizing. And just horror movie-esque.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love the Easter eggs in it. You get a glimpse at Mr. Mind in the first 20 minutes of the movie, or when Dr. Savannah, when he's a kid, goes into the Rock of Eternity. You see him in the glass case, which was cool. I thought the intro to the movie was awesome, giving the backstory of Dr. Savannah being a potential champion of the Wizard. I thought the Wizard was cool.
That was actually really cool because they set up that whole like Wizard Council stuff right at the beginning with Dr. Savannah.
Right, which that used to not be how it was in the comics. In the New 52, when Jeff Johns did the one-shot for Shazam, he made it, instead of the Wizard Shazam, he made it a Council of Wizards, and that's the reason they changed the character from being the old white guy into like a more Aboriginal character.
Which was cool.
Yeah, because the 7 wizards were from different cultures, seemingly.
But they didn't use the Aboriginal, like, his super, like, nativeness too much in his clothes in the movie, which I think would have looked really cool, native. But I feel like if they did, people would not have understood that, so it's probably better that they didn't.
And you get a glimpse of Black Adam when he's telling the story of their first champion that they chose, releasing the 7 deadly sins through the magic of the Wizard Shazam, showing Billy Batson, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then the gave me the chills when Billy Batson said Shazam and he was listing off the powers of Shazam, that acronym the Wizard was, and it was really cool when he's yelling him into the air. There's a bunch of moments in there like that. Yeah,
the actors were really good. I know some people, what's his name, Strong, the guy who played Dr. Savannah.
Oh yeah, Mark Strong.
Not Mike Strong. Mark Strong, he did really, really well. Some people were like, oh, he's too good for this movie. I feel like he fit perfectly in the movie. Like Zachary Levi did such a great job. The family that they chose, like the foster kids and everything, they were all really, really good. You know, as annoying as they needed to be without being like, oh, this kid's written to be super annoying. You know, it's like, that's as annoying as that kid would probably be.
Yeah, and it's ripped right out of the comics that are going on right now that Jeff Johns is writing also, because I didn't really know about the bigger foster family until I was reading those comics, and like a week later I'm like, oh, they're in this movie and they look like they're taken right out. You got the Asian kid Eugene and Darla and Pedro, and it was super cool seeing that dynamic. And what it is the theme of this movie is, you know, whoever you always have your family, and that's who you can count on, and it's changing the mind of Billy Batson and showing him evolve into a member of a bigger family. You see that in the scene when he saves Mary from that plow or bulldozer or whatever, and he's like, you don't need to be sad that you're not going to be with your family anymore. You're 18, go off and live on your own.
Yeah, and the message is not very preachy, because it's not like, oh, you look at, there's your family. It's like a family. You always have a family.
Yeah. And
that was really cool because, you know, a lot of times movies do get preachy now, and that gets annoying. And here it wasn't, because, you know, and there was another thing about this movie. I remember telling you as soon as we left, I did not question how long that movie was. And a lot of times when I go to the theater now, I'm like, man, it's 9:30 already. Like, come on, and move along, movie.
Yeah.
I did think about it only because I was like, man, I haven't thought about how long this movie was. I wonder what time it is. That was it. That's really, really interesting. And that means, personally, I enjoyed the movie as an entertainment movie, despite, you know, it just being a really, really good movie. CG was really good. The story progression was really good.
The jokes in it were there
oh my God.
And the jokes furthered the narrative also, like when they're testing out his powers and stuff like that, throwing him in there, and it's like, oh, he's not fireproof or whatever, so the audience knows this, but it's a joke.
The jokes were so well placed and realistic. I hate these movies where it's like, oh, we can't say that, you know, it's like, come on. It's like, these guys are teenagers. They're going to be dropping, you know, weird jokes about genitalia and stuff like that, you know. It's like, that's what happens in high school, and they put it in the movie, and that's really cool. And I noticed that, and that's really important for me, because I think that creates a sense of realism and brings me into the movie and go, wow, that's realistic and that's really cool. I think we'll have to go into the part towards the end because that's one of the cooler parts. So this is a really big spoiler for the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So the last final boss fight with Dr. Savannah and his 7 deadly sins, where they get to a carnival and captures all of the kids, and he wants Shazam to get down on his knee and say the magic word so he could have his power also and make render Billy helpless. And he remembers Shazam saying that he has the 7 wizards, the 7 members of the Magic Council, and he turns the rest of his family members into the Marvel family, which I had no idea they were going to do it.
Yeah.
Right when he told everyone to grab the staff, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. Yeah. And the actors that were the adult versions of the kids did a great job.
Oh, man.
The one that was Freddie Marvel, he must have studied that kid's acting. It was awesome. And I think that's Sean Penn's brother.
Oh, yeah.
I heard, yeah. And he was just like, the mannerisms, the way he would speak was right on the money, and it was just such a big payoff that they didn't show any of that.
God, it was so good.
And it's even better, like, if you're reading the comics right now, because that's the team. Shazam, the book right now, is a family book, and the Marvel, it should be called like Team Marvel or something, the Marvel family, but they'll never do that. So yeah, then that whole scene of them working together to take down the 7 deadly sins was so badass.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, you're right. Everybody was spot on for capturing the essence of what, like, the complaint about, oh, he's not like this guy when he's older. These guys were exactly the same as when they were kids, except now they're just superhero adults. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool. And that made the movie that much cooler because I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that at all.
Right, and you could see that in the different characterization. Like, Freddy, when he's a kid, he's very outspoken because he's using that to hide his insecurities.
Right.
And so when he's a superhero, he's still super outspoken because he's more comfortable talking really fast to hide that insecurity. But more like someone like Pedro, where like didn't talk at all. And he's like, whoa, look what I could do. This is really cool. So it's still, and like Darla, the scene where she meets Santa Claus and saves him. Oh my God, it was awesome.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you talking about? The Santa callbacks in the movie are just amazing. You see the movie for one reason, Santa Claus. Go see it because of that. It's ridiculous.
So good. And I want to talk about the rewatchability of this movie. I'm going to be watching this for the rest of my life. This movie's awesome.
Yeah. I saw it one time.
Yeah, I saw it
so
twice.
far. He's seen it twice, and I can't wait to see it again. Yeah. It's going to be definitely something to buy. And my only problem with the movie is that you're not going to probably get that universal tie-in with everybody.
Yeah.
And like the post-credit scene, or there's 2 post-credit scenes. You know, the one at the end that I'm talking about here. Should we say it?
Yeah.
All right. So there's one at the end of the movie, and Superman shows up, right?
That's just at the end of the movie. That's not even a post-credit scene.
Was it?
That's how it ends. Yeah.
Oh, so that's at the end of the movie. So, yeah, Superman is at the end of the movie, and they don't show his face because, you know, everybody knows, but
it'd be awesome if they had that tie-in.
Yeah. I was like, what an amazing movie. And I shed one manly tear because I was like, man, imagine Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and to a lesser extent Aquaman, you know, being all in a universe together in the same movie. Oh, I guess the Flash is there too. But, you know, how cool would that be in the dynamic? And the credit sequence, the animation and stuff where he's cool. Like stealing the Batmobile and like taking Wonder Woman out on a date and stuff, and like racing Superman and everything. That was really, really awesome. And that even was like, hey, you remember that we're not making a Warner Brothers movie? well, let me drive this stake into your chest even more.
Yeah.
By
This is
this
what we could be
sequence.
doing.
Yeah, look at how cool
Really.
this could be.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. So
That's
the last thing I want to talk about is they're doing a sequel, and for sure, and which I didn't know when I saw this, but the weekend after, or the Monday after release, The Rock came on and let everybody know he was a producer of the film, and that he's excited to shoot the Black Adam movie next year.
But is it a sequel? Or
So it's
is
going to be
it
Black Adam. This is going to be his origin story,
Right.
and then it's going to be Shazam's
2
sequel,
or whatever?
and then Black Adam's seemingly going to be in it.
Okay, so there's Black Adam first,
Yeah,
which
then
is going to be
Shazam.
like a standalone, but then lead into
Which is going to make
Shazam
all the
2.
money because of The Rock in the
Well, yeah, the
superhero
guy's,
movie.
yeah.
So that's going to be awesome.
Well, I mean, he is in Fast and Furious, and you could argue that
Those
those are
superhero
superhero
movies,
movies
yeah.
now at this point.
That's Sean Hobbs. That's going to be crazy. But yeah, guys, go see Shazam if it's still in theaters where you're at. If not, buy it when it comes out and watch it. It's one of my favorite comic book movies. A top superhero movie.
It's probably one of the most entertaining movies in a long time.
And if you're a Shazam fan, from any point in your life, you're going to love everything about this movie.
Yeah.
There's not a disappointing
Like,
part in it.
If you've seen the Hellboy review that we've done, like that was an entertaining movie. This movie is a well-made and entertaining movie.
Yeah,
It's
this
just
movie's
like
better than Hellboy.
there's very little wrong with this movie in the sense of, you know, it being an enjoyable entertainment factor.
Yeah, that's great.
You could just sit down and watch it over and over again.
Yeah, so if you like this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit that like button and the notification button so you know when we're putting up more videos. And thanks for watching, everybody.
See you later.